Hi, in this video I'll show you how you can make a good build for fighter ships in Star Citizen, as well as correcting some misconceptions in some components. Let's get started. Recently I saw a video from a user who made a very nice video showing off a build for the Aegis Eclipse. The only problem was that the build itself was kinda mediocre, although I could understand why, and that is the reason why I wanted to make this video. I will link it in the video description, as well as a link to the DPS calculator from Merkle Games, since it is a great page and what I will be using to show this. Although the user used an Aegis Gladius for the build, I will be using an Asperia Talon since it's the ship I own, have been able to test, and honestly it applies to most of the small fighter ships. The Asperia Talon's default loadout is kinda bad to say the least. Not just that, but they also nerfed the Sucheron shields, making them not that much of a good choice anymore. So here is the build I'd recommend for it. Starting with the shields, we see that the Talon has two size 1 Sucheron shields, giving a total of 7000 HP and 540 regen per second. Sadly, this is where most people would just look at it and say, this is okay, or maybe not, but we actually need to see at the smaller numbers. For example, here we see that the damage relay is 4.55 seconds, while the power draw request time is a whopping 18 seconds. And you may be asking, what is that? Well, I'll tell you. The damage regen delay is basically the amount of time that the shield takes to start regenerating after it's been damaged. Unlike the bigger shields, which are always constantly regenerating, the smaller shields do have this delay before they start to regenerate. But that's not everything. You might think, well, okay, after this time it will start regenerating at the speed, right? Well, wrong. This is where this number here comes, the power draw request time. This means that the shield takes 18 seconds to actually be regenerating at its maximum capacity, which is 270. Meaning that if you're getting hit quite oftenly or doing dogfighting, the shields won't help you out much. In that case, what do I recommend? Well, there are two possible options. Either get two Mirage, however you want to call it, or one Mirage and a Guardian. Here's the reason why. First, let's take a look at the two Mirages. They give a total of 6120 HP with 684 HP regen per second. The downside is that the total HP isn't that high and you're probably gonna be taken down with a few missiles, or at least the shields, from which then you're gonna need to wait 14 seconds until they're back up again. The good side is that they only have 2 seconds of damage regen delay, and even better, only 3 seconds of power draw request time, meaning that after a few seconds, the shields are gonna be regenerating at a really high speed, and be completely full in about 5 to 10 seconds. Not just that, but these shields are also very stealthy, so if you're looking to go that way, or simply want a stealth bonus, these are definitely the way to go. Now imagine we were to go with two Palisades, the industrial grade A shields, for maximum total HP. This leaves us with 15,840 HP, but with a very atrocious 342 regeneration per second. Even worse, they take almost 6 seconds for the shields to start regenerating after each hit, and take a whopping 18 seconds for them to only be regenerating at that quite atrocious rate. So these shields are nice for maximum survivability, but only in one go, and after your shields have been taken down, you probably go very far away for a few minutes until they've been charged back up. Finally, let's take a look at the Guardian and Mirage combo, which is probably the best out of the three, although it depends on what sort of thing you want to do. These give us a total of 10,620 HP with 495 HP regen per second. Not just that, but the Guardians, unlike the Palisades, only have 3.3 seconds of damage regen delay, which together with the Mirage is still quite low. Not just that, but these also have a higher physical absorption percentage, meaning that you're gonna be able to absorb more ballistic damage compared to two Mirages alone. Also, by doing this, you're getting the good things out of both shields, the Mirage's high regeneration rate and the Guardian's high HP, which combined together give a very good overall total HP and regeneration. The only real downside to this is that if you wanna play full stealth, the Guardian isn't a very stealthy shield, so you wouldn't wanna have it with you. Next, let's take a look at the coolers. Here is yet another component where most people can get confused. If you've checked through most of the coolers available, you will see that the ones that offer the most cooling capacity are the industrial grade ones, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they're the best, and the reason being is again on the power draw request time. Why would you want to have so much cooling capacity that you're not really going to be able to use anyways, while they're going to take a lot of time to actually deliver that cooling, resulting in slower cooling weapons after they've been overheated. The Talon comes stock with two civilian grade flash freeze coolers. Again, these are not bad, but they have quite a high power draw request time at 15 seconds. Plus, they're not very stealthy, and the Talon is a ship supposed to be stealthy, so the better option would be to switch both to some snowblinds. These are some stealth grade A coolers, with a lower power draw request time of only 7.5 seconds, but also a lower EM and IR signature, making them much more stealthy. Moving on to the power plant, it's pretty much the same story here. The one that comes stock with the Talon is kinda mediocre to say the least, and the one that gives out the most power is an industrial grade one, the Breton to be more exact, but honestly, why do you want that much power when you're not gonna be able to take advantage of it anyways? Instead, we would rather go with a stealth grade A slipstream power plant. This one doesn't just have a very small power draw request time of 1.25 seconds to make sure that your power plant is able to feed all of your ship's components without running into power constraints, but it also has a very low EM and IR signatures to make sure that your ship remains stealthy. I also forgot to mention that although stealth power plants don't give out that much power, this one does allow you to overclock the weapons without reaching the power limit. Although if you're running a slightly different ship with more power hungry components or want to overclock the shields at the same time too, you would want to consider changing the power plant to a grade A military one or any other of choice really, just to make sure that you don't reach the power limit. Next up is the quantum drive. Just like the shields, you have two options here. If you're gonna be using this ship as your main ship to travel around the verse, you're gonna want to change the stock quantum drive to an Atlas. Not just it is the most efficient out of all the civilian grade quantum drives, but it also has a very decent quantum traveling speed, and most importantly, it allows you to travel through the entirety of Standon, whilst with the stock one, you were limited to only Hurston. On the other hand, if you're not planning to use the quantum drive for long travel or want to play, let's say, an Arena Commander, I recommend you change this stock quantum drive to a Spectre. Not just it has an even higher traveling speed for short ranges, but it is also stealthy, keeping up with the overall stealthiness of the ship and other components. Last but not least, we have the weapons, which honestly can be any of your choice. The main idea of this video was to talk about in more detail on some of the other ship components and why they might be better than others despite what the main numbers say. The good thing about weapons is that as long as you have the money, you can try them all and see which ones work best for you, as well as depending on the situation. Although, as my recommendation, I would either go with some size 4 attrition laser repeaters, which do pack quite a punch, especially at close range, or if you wanna go full stealth, just stay with the stock Lightstrike 3 laser cannons. Although honestly the choice is up to you. As I mentioned earlier, the main idea of this video was to talk in more detail about some of the other components which people usually overlook. Also, you might have noticed that I've not talked about the missiles, and there are two reasons behind that. The first one being that, unlike other components, I am not that much familiar with missiles, and the second reason being that by the time I'm making this video, they are quite buggy and sometimes don't even work at all. So I guess until then, this will be it for now, although if any of you have more information or recommendation in what sort of missiles would be best for a ship like this, or just in general, please leave them below. Anyways, that was all for this video. If you have any questions or would like to discuss even further some of the things said in this video, please feel free to do so or leave me a comment below. I also have an org, which I will link in the description below in case you would like to join and maybe help me make these videos, since they do take quite some time and effort to make, but it is so much more fun and entertaining to do so with friends. Anyways, that was all, and thank you for watching.